And then, of course, Anthony, we went to the big main event,
which saw the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, who was approaching his 1000th day as champ, team up with Sikoa to face the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the undisputed tag team titles.
Now, such a great deal of anticipation around where they'd go. They did make a point a couple of times, certainly on SmackDown yesterday, of saying that the Usos did not travel to Saudi Arabia. So you sort of weren't really thinking of them being there. So they did well with that as a bit of a ruse. But Roman Reigns actually today was his 1000th day as champion, the 5th longest reign in WWE history. He's 27 days now behind Pedro Morales. And they kept saying that the Usos weren't there. So you thought, oh, okay, so how's it going to work? So I think maybe the thinking was if anything was going to happen, maybe Solo turned on Roman, or because it wasn't going to be like a clean finish or anything. But, you know, the thing is, will Solo turn on Reigns? Will Solo and Reigns actually win the belts and then maybe feud with the Usos? Or will Reigns be the only man in history to hold 4 different titles at once? And then, of course, he had Sami. He looked very, very emotional when he was coming out. I thought that was actually quite a good moment. And if memory serves me, I think that would be his very first time wrestling over there because of the political standpoint as it had been previously, because he's of Syrian background and all the rest of it. So, I thought it had a really, really massive, excuse me, big fight feel. It had a real heavyweight main event vibe feel from the whole start and the way they did it, and you know, Paul Heyman doing the ring introductions for the bloodline and the whole bit. And even then with Sami Zayn, you know, taking the mic and, you know, speaking in Arabic. Now, I think he was born in Canada. I don't think he was actually born in the Middle East. So, because you could tell from, he was a bit like me. You know, you're born over here, but you can speak a bit. But I thought that was a really nice touch. I thought that was the crowd were right into it. I mean, the anticipation was massive.
Yeah, it was, and I do want to say that I liked the way this ended. The way it ended was beautiful.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, absolutely. Who was that? Just please, sorry, I know I go around all over the place. Who was the producer for that one?
That was Michael Pierce Hayes and Jason Jordan.
Okay, brilliant. I loved the match. I thought it was it built slow. It kept sort of, but the finish was brilliant.
But there's so much that can come out of it now too, because you had Jimmy super kick Reigns twice, and you had Jay all conflicted in that.
Oh, don't forget they both super kicked Solo, even though it was an accident. Because was it Sami who got out the way, or
yeah?
So they've super kicked Solo. They've super kicked Roman. It's endless where they could go with this now. That's the only thing I'm actually a bit excited about, because there is a story. Like we were talking, you know, Mick, before about, you know, Cody and Lesnar. You know, what's the story? You know, it makes no. This is just 100% the opposite.
Yeah,
it's true. It's they've got this one right. I mean, this is
great. Yeah.
You know, there's no. I say it's very hard for me to pick anything on this one that's negative. I mean, everything is positive in the way they've set things up, the way internally in the bloodline, the way they've got Sami Zayn, and that looks like that they've now broken Sami Zayn and Owens away from that feud. It now allows it to be internal, so it allows Sami Zayn and Owens to go off on their own path and do what they need to do. You've now got internal conflict in the bloodline. You know, to me, this is how you should book something.
Yeah.
You should book something. Like, this is how there's many avenues. It was a main event match. It had a main event feel, right? and it was well done match all the way through. You know, all the way through, even down to when the Usos come out and jumped Owens. Right, it was well done. Everything. This is it's very very hard to be very negative. It was my match of the night personally.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? And like I said, we get back to, as you said before, the difference between the booking of Cody Rhodes and then the booking of these fellas is night and day.
Yeah.
You know, this makes absolute sense on any angle you want to go from. Absolute sense, right? Where the Cody Rhodes thing's no sense at all.
No.
So I don't know how they can get it so wrong one way and get it so good. I don't understand. But to me, this was match of the night. It deserved a main event.
Oh.
It be in a main event.
So it's going to be really, really. I'm actually looking forward to it. So I'm marking out a bit, but I'm looking forward to how they go now because clearly the battle lines are drawn. Jimmy, which was interesting because I would have thought it'd be Jay because they always portray, Anthony Jay as the hothead and all that. But when Jimmy did the thing and he really fired up, and you saw it in his face and the whole. He was brilliant. He was really, really. It was almost like Jay tried to calm him down and be the cooler head. So you wouldn't expect that. And now it's almost like, well, Jay sort of has to side with his brother, or does he? There's 6 months worth of stories in this.
That's right, and you can actually bring the older Islanders in as well.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say so. I think there'll be someone else coming in. There's apparently another one of Rikishi's boys, someone even bigger again. I can't think of his name, Anthony, but there's talk of this. Is it Junior Fatu or something like that?
He works for World Series Wrestling.
Or something like that. But there's some talk of him coming in. So where does he go? If it is, or is this an entree to try and get something happening, where The Rock comes in, heading towards something at SummerSlam, it's endless where they could go.
Yeah. You could bring one of the Alpha or Seeker in, or both of them, and get them to try and settle the lines, and one of them get hit, and then it's all out war because they have the Islanders think with this, and they do what they say. There's a lot of angles that you could go here. They've left themselves a great avenue, and they don't need at the moment. They won't need to use Sami Zayn or Owens.
They're out of it now.
They're out of it now. So they've given them their opportunity to run with what they're going to do.
So they'll concentrate on the tag titles as per normal. And they've got the heat and all the rest of it, and Sammy's got all that, so that takes care of that. But then this story has its own whole new set of legs.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was, I actually was watching it and getting a bit excited. I thought, far out, this is good.
I've seen for a long, long time. Like actual booking.
Yeah.
The bloodline booking in the last 12 months is what's kept me watching WWE.
Well, exactly. That was the only thing. I just wanted to see what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. I loved it.
That and Judgment Day, and I think Judgment Day's run out of steam a little bit. I think they've lost a little bit of ideas there. I think, with Rhea being so popular with Dom, I think that maybe Finn and Damian Priest are getting a little bit lost in the shuffle.
Well, there's a lot of talk now about Priest getting a big elevation after that last pay-per-view in Puerto Rico. So there's a lot of talk that they're now starting to see him as someone at the top end of the card now.
As long as he doesn't wrestle a rapper, he'll be all
right. There's some talk also, believe it or not, they didn't mention the name, but you didn't have to be real smart to work it out because they said a 58-year-old former WWE star, but a tag match with that Savio Vega and Bad Bunny against, well, I suppose it'll be the Judgment Day. I'm not sure. I mean, Savio Vega came out at Puerto Rico.
SummerSlam or somewhere like that? Or?
Well, what's the next one? Money in the Bank? Yeah, maybe SummerSlam, possibly.
SummerSlam's mid-year, isn't it?
It's our winter, so yeah, it'd been probably, that'd be August, I think.
Yeah.
But July, no, well, either end of July, start of August. But But it's going to be interesting. But the Bloodline story, this is it was beautiful how they did it. I mean, Reigns didn't get pinned, so he's still not been pinned or submitted since, what is it, December 2019 or something bloody thing like that? Or?
Yeah, December 2019, which when I say that he hasn't lost since then, but he has lost by DQ and all that.
Yeah.
Hasn't been pinned.
Hasn't been pinned or submitted.
No.
Yeah, but I loved it. I thought it was brilliant how they did it. And just I think I was more excited because it was really, really, really good booking. We weren't expecting the Usos at all. And just all the stories it opens up now. I mean, they could go, as we said, a dozen different ways. And each one of them would probably be okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't understand how WWE can get it so right in one thing.
No.
You know.
I don't know how much Heyman's got to do with this Bloodline story. I mean, he must have some input.
He'd have to.
It reeks of somebody else's input. Just because Hayes and Jordan produced that match, it doesn't mean that, well, I was going to say
the producers are only getting told this is what we want you to do.
Yeah, sorry.
You know, so, you know, I'd say Heyman, which is pretty high up, you know, as far as connections with Vince and the rest of the guys up top there and Triple H, he'd be saying, well, I'm part of this and this is how I want it done. You know?
Well, then let him be the head of bloody booking, because if he could do that for a few other stories, he'd suddenly get the WWE involved again.
Well, I think they seriously need to. I don't think Triple H is a great booker, personally. I think Vince has no one.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe there'll be a change, and it's still early days, you know, but I don't know.
I don't know if there's much of a change, mate. You know, I mean, I
don't see a lot of change, really.
No. I think, look, you got to understand this. Triple H spent most of his career under Vince anyway.
Yeah, of course.
He never worked the territories or anything like that, so he wouldn't have seen anything out. I think that it's important to have somebody there that's got a little bit more knowledge outside of that, so they change the cards up. I think at the moment it's way too WWE.
Oh yeah.
Also, too, like I said, they're very cliquey. You know, like if there's people that are their boys, they look after them. If they're not their boys, have come from another promotion or something. Not as much. That's well known. That's you know, after what they did to the WCW guys that come in when they bought out their contracts.
Yeah.
You know, Buff Bagwell and DDP and that kind of thing. The only one they looked after was
Booker T.
Booker T. That was it.
And I remember when his brother was here and we did that promo at Crown and all that, and we were talking to him, and he actually said to us, he goes, I really don't know why they looked after Booker. He said but they saw something in him and they looked after him, but we were all surprised that he got looked after.
Yeah.
And that was his brother talking.
Yeah, and then they were really cliquey, you know, even with the ECW guys, really, really cliquey. There was actually an interesting interview that's been done by WSI, which is a wrestling podcast show in England that I listen to. Dutch Mantel does a lot of work with him and people. And they had Francine on from ECW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Queen of Extreme. And she was saying about how they were treated at WWE. And she goes, it wasn't a good experience.
Oh, really?
She didn't feel like you're part of the team. She goes, they brought me on just to wear bikinis.
Yeah.
She was a good manager. She was, had a good mouth on the mic.
I remember her vaguely, yeah.
And she could get a bit of heat. And they just used her as a bikini model, and, she goes, any chance they could get rid of the original ECW members, they were drug testing them more regularly than anybody else. And if they got done for marijuana or something like that, that was it, they were gone. When we know that other people in there that were on the other side of the block were on more steroids than racehorses. But nothing was ever said. But they got rid of all the ECW talent, used the name, opened a name up after one night stand.
Yeah.
people back in to get people interested, and then very much culled them out until the point they brought their own people in.
Mm.
You know, so that a lot of people that have gone from another promotion have gone to there and not had. I think there might be a little bit of Cody Rhodes thing happening there, where he left. He was one of their boys. He left. He went to AEW, started AEW, done what he done, come back, and now there's a little bit of now you got to pay. I think so.
Oh, look, I wouldn't be surprised. As you and I both know, the politics and all the bullshit that goes on and whatever. I mean, it's as much as we love the sport and we've been in it and we've done it and whatever. It's a very, very political sort of harsh climate.
Yeah, well, the only two people I can think of that's come from an outside promotion into WWE and got a decent run from day one has been Ric Flair and Booker T.
AJ?
He went to Japan. He distanced himself.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, so he distanced himself, and they
Did he come back straight from TNA or something, or?
Nah, he went to Japan.
Did he? Okay.
TNA because they offered him a job at WWE and he didn't like the deal, so he went to New Japan.
Okay.
And then from New Japan, then they offered him the job again. They offered him actually quite a few times. They offered him a rookie development contract. He said no. At TNA, he said no. Then they offered him at New Japan when they come to America, and he said
okay.
There was a couple times, and I think there was agreements in his contract too. But yeah, they gave him a fair run.
I mean, what would these 2 times they had the world title?
Yeah, and he's always he's generally up and around that mid card, upper card sort of position. So he's never been. But he may be number 3. I couldn't think of anyone else that was a big name in another promotion that's come across and they've welcomed him up with open arms straight away.
Nah, he had a lot of support though. Like Undertaker was very strong on AJ Styles because he wanted his retirement match with him, and so he might have had a couple of heavy hitters in this corner.
Yeah, but if you think about it, anyone else, they don't really get a good. Unless Vince has brought him out or some prior agreement or something, you don't really see too many of them getting an opportunity.
No, you're very right.
Like if you look at, Dutch Mantel's been there twice, and both times he was just thrown in mediocre tag teams. He was look at what they did with Dusty. Dots on him and gave him Sapphire when a baby doll. That was just and no, against Sapphire was great. She was comedic and added to the show, but that was a slap in the face for him deliberately. Polka dots, that was well known in the industry. But then you book somebody like the Ultimate Warrior above him.
Man,
he's like, so some of their booking decisions always been a bit iffy, and it's politically driven. And I think there's still a bias politically there too. You'd be mad not to push Cody Rhodes. And I'm not a Cody Rhodes fan, don't get me wrong.
No, but he's money. That's what it's all about. It's bums on seats and money. Who draws?
That's right. Yeah, So, I'm quite surprised that Rex Steiner's not there at this point. He's got to be getting close to moving up to the main roster.
You'd think so. You'd think won't be too well. They've got a pay-per-view tomorrow, that NXT, where he's up against that Carmelo Hayes again.
Yeah.
But he's a heel now. I haven't watched NXT for weeks and weeks and weeks, so I'm not right up with it. But I know there's a pay-per-view tomorrow.
You couldn't see bringing him. Why would you bring him in as a heel to the main roster?
Wow.
2 of your main mid-card guys are heels.
Maybe he won't when he comes up. Who knows?
I don't know, but it's a bit weird how they got it going in that aspect. If you're going to bring him up, Gunter and him would be a great match.
Oh, yes.
Right? And then even Theory and him would be a great match. At the moment, those 2 mid-card championships, are held by two great workers, future workers, guys that are going to be leading things in the future.
Mm. Look, they got plenty of opportunity. They got plenty of talent at their disposal. It's just get the booking right, get the stories right. Try and get a few bloodline type stories going.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, everyone's going to come back and be reinvested. At the moment, we're only really invested in one story.
yeah, that's right. That's what. Well, that was what the beautiful thing about the 80s and 90s booking.
Yeah.
Multiple storylines.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at least 3 or 4 going on at any one time.
Yeah, you look at the original WrestleMania, you've had the Andre the Giant Slam challenge with Big John Studd, the 15,000.
Yeah.
You know, you had obviously what was happening with Hogan and that. You had the Intercontinental title thing with the figure 4 leg lock, and how, when Dog lost, freaking well, Tito come in and defended Dog because he was ripped off. And there was storylines always hooked up.
Yeah.
Stuff. This is just one storyline.
Have a look at WrestleMania 3. Like that. Just brilliant. Absolutely. Still the best one I think I've seen.
Yeah, arguably the best one of all time.
Savage and Steamboat for with George Animal Steel and Elizabeth. Andre and Hogan. It was just wall to wall, that whole thing.
Yeah, and good storylines back in
Yeah. We were invested. We wanted to see, and then you get through that, and you think, oh, one, and then the next one, oh, okay, and then you fired up again like you were. Yeah, it was. I know we keep going on, and people probably listening think, oh, well, you got to let it go, but yeah, it's different.
But as a fan, you want to be invested, and there's no investment here.
No, except for the Bloodline story, and which has been brilliant. It's gone. What's that gone? About a year already.
Yeah, they got more now out of it.
Oh God, they got at least 6 months out of the current story now. Yes.
Yeah,